Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, students. Once again, Yasir Ali, lecturer English from Islamia Vice College is here. Dear students, today, inshallah, we will be having a lecture about unit number 2, and that is crime and punishment. This is a short story written by an Indian writer, R.K.Narayan. It's a very thought-provoking story. And before we move towards the story line, we need to get information about the characters of the story, and then we'll be moving forward. First of all, a child, then the parents, and then the teacher. Three of them will play a very important role, and in the light of, yeah, through these three characters, the writer will give us a very thought-provoking lesson to understand. Distance, before I move towards the storyline, it is important to tell you people about the title. I mean, how I'm going to justify the title. Why the name of this short story is Crime and Punishment. So, respectable students, as I told you, we have three characters. And through these three characters, we will be understanding what is the message which the writer wants to deliver to the reader, I mean, especially to the students. Parents. First of all, what is the crime? What was the crime of the parents in the lesson? The crime of the parent was overparenting. They treated or trained their child more like a piece of glass. In other words, they were doing overparenting, and just because of that, the child was too badly pampered. The child became out of control. And what was the punishment of the parents? The child is not going to come into their control. They want to produce, I mean, the parents want to produce a very healthy citizen. But the problem was that now the child was taking advantage of their overparenting. The child was aware of the fact that for my parents, I'm everything. So that's why it's a golden chance to cross all the limits. On the other hand, teacher. What was the crime of the teacher in the lesson? Just to produce a healthy citizen in the society out of their ward, out of their son. They appointed a teacher. So what was the crime of the teacher in the lesson? He was losing temper, and just because of that, at one point he lost his control, and he slapped the child. Slapping the child is the crime of the teacher, and everybody knows that teacher is a future builder. He is an architect. He must know the psyche. He must know the tactics to train a student. But what was the problem with the teacher? Just because of the silly attitude and rigid attitude of the child, the teacher slapped the boy. What was the punishment? And just because of that, what was the ultimate or the utmost desire of the boy? That was to blackmail the teacher, because he did not want to study. So that's why he made a background, and according to that background, he brought the teacher up to that corner, and the teacher slapped him, and right after being slapped, he started blackmailing the teacher. So that was the punishment of the teacher. What was the crime of the child? He does not want to study. And what was the punishment of the boy? He was slapped by the teacher. Now, respectable students, we are moving towards the important features of the story. As you know, in every unit, whatever units we have discussed till now, I have discussed all those units in the light of important features. And when you go through these bullets, these outlines, or I must say, these important features, so story becomes very easy to understand. So let me discuss the story in the light of these important features so that you may understand what we are going to discuss. The story is about the role of a teacher and the parents for child's training. Dear students, you know very well, both the teachers and the parents, they play a very very vital role in the training of a student. Their role is very very important. It is not it is not the duty of the parents only just to give a financial support to their child. No, they are supposed to do much more than that. They are supposed to train him in a very very good way. Yes, it is the responsibility of the parents to provide their wards with every facility of life, but this doesn't mean that they must consider their son just like a piece of glass. So this was what happened in the story. On the other hand, what should be the role of a teacher? Teacher is something very important. Parents brought us from sky to earth, and the teacher is the one who takes us from earth to sky. He creates a great connection between the human beings and God through his tactics. So, the role of teacher in the lesson we will be discussing, but right now we are discussing the general role of the teacher, that the teacher must have the tactics through which he must understand the psyche of every sort of student, because all the students are not equal, all the students are having not the same mentality. So that's why the teacher must know the tactic, and he must understand the psyche, and right after understanding the psyche of every student he must train his students. Next point. But both the parents and the teacher were having a wrong way to train the child. In this unit, the crime and punishment, both the parents as well as the teacher adopted a very strange attitude toward the child. Whereas the parents are concerned, what was their problem? They were treating their child just like an angel, just like a glass. If you touch that glass, it will be cracked and it will be divided into certain pieces. So this was the problem of the parents. And what they were doing, they provided their ward, their son, with every facility of life. They bought him expensive toys. They brought everything for their son. And what was more like that, so the parents, they provided everything to their ward. So what happened? The child crossed all the limits, and he understood the weakness of the parents. He was aware of the fact that if something happens to me, so definitely the parents will be very worried about that. So what happened? Just to produce a healthy citizen out of their ward or son, the parents decided to appoint a teacher to train their ward, just to teach him different subjects. So what happened? The parents wanted to produce a healthy citizen out of their son, but they provided their son every luxury of life and made him realize that he is like a mirror. Point 4 says, as I discussed, the parents appointed a tutor for their child, but asked him not to show harshness to him. And the son took the advantage of that. But what was the problem when the parents brought or appointed a tutor? Before he started his training, they asked him, or they ordered him, or they instructed him very harshly that not to show any sort of strictness or harshness to their son, and don't try to put any sort of pressure on their word. Try to teach him in a very light way. So when this conversation was heard by the son, the child, so he took the advantage of that, and taking that thing, he took the advantage of this communication. As I told you, the child was badly pampered, and he was aware of the fact that the parents will do everything for him. Point 5 says the child did not want to study and started irritating the tutor, and finally he was slapped by the teacher. From the very beginning, what happened? The child did not want to study, and time and again he was making very silly mistakes. When the teacher was asking a very common question, so the sum of something was something else, and he was telling that wrong in a wrong way time and again. The teacher corrected it many a times, but the child was giving a wrong answer deliberately. The utmost aim was of the student was just to irritate the teacher, to bring the teacher up to that extent that the teacher may beat him or do something, so that he may or might blackmail the teacher. So same thing happened. So many a times when the teacher asked him not to do like this, not like that, do like this or do like that, but the child was not obeying the teacher, and finally the teacher lost his control, and he slapped the boy. And right after slapping the boy, he himself got quite confused, because he was aware of the fact that what was the instruction of the parents. So for some time the child kept on weeping, but right after that he got silent, and teacher came into the normal mood. But from that point the child started blackmailing the teacher, and he was ordering different things. He was asking the teacher to do this thing and that thing, like run a train, become a station master, tell him different stories like this and that. And the teacher kept on doing that, and right after that asking him just to repair his engine like this and that. So the teacher was quite confused what to do. But that was the mistake of the teacher, because this is something very, very, I must say, bad about the teaching profession, that you are moving towards the corporal punishment. No, this must not happen. You must know, I mean, the teacher must know the tactics. There are different sorts of students. So the teacher must know the tactics, how to control different sorts of students. But this student was not controlled. Rather, instead of controlling, he lost his own self-control. So the child, point 6 says, the child became successful in his plan, and he started blackmailing his tutor, but did not study. So not to study, or he did not want to study. That was the utmost desire of the student. And right after the mistake or the crime of the teacher, the student or the child started uh, blackmailing. If you are not going to do this or that thing, I will definitely tell my parents that you slapped me. So this is what the teacher did not want. So whatever the boy was saying, the teacher was obeying. Point 7 says, and he kept on demanding his tutor different tasks to perform. Whenever the teacher tried to deny, the child blackmailed him. As I told you, whenever he was asking anything, so teacher was doing. But whenever he did not want to do that, did not obey, so the boy started blackmailing the teacher. Number 8. Finally, the parents came and found their son and the teacher playing in the garden. So when they entered, both the teacher and the boy were playing. And that was the point when the teacher wanted to tell the truth to the parents, that I'm not able to control that boy. And this sort of boy needs sort of, punishment. And he did not want to rather teach him. But the moment he was about to tell the truth, the boy indicated him not to deceive him, because he was already blackmailed. He was already, in the control of the boy. And that this time teacher did not want to uh, uh, take care of anything. But again, he was confused and uh, pressurized by the boy through indications. And what happened? He was compelled to tell a lie and told the parents that your son is perfect. He needs uh, a little more practice in mathematics and he will be doing a good thing. But respectable students, through this childish story, the writer gave us a very thought-provoking lesson. I mean, the parents as well as the teachers. They are the two pillars, the most important. Rather, I must say the teacher are the central pillars in the future of, or the future, or the future building of a student. So what I think the moral of the story, first of all, I would like to read it. We all know very well that the parents and the teachers have an essential role in the life of a child. In other words, they are the architect of a child's future. That's why the parents as well as the teacher must be very careful and well organized in a child's training. In the lesson, we have observed that the parents did not train their ward properly, and the teacher could not understand the psyche of the child. Thus, both the parents and the teacher destroyed the child. So, it is in the hand of the parents, before sending their ward toward the school or towards any uh, stage of life. Their role is very, very important. They must train their child not like an angel or not like a mirror, because there are so many people and different sorts of people will be dealing with their son. So that's why they must train their child in a very good way, in a very well organized way, in a very, very balanced way. Otherwise, there will be so many problems and it will be difficult for the people just to tackle one, and he himself will not be able to get adjusted. So what I think, towards the conclusion of this lecture, I have a question in my mind, and right after that, I will be having a little discussion about that, and then I will be leaving the question upon you. What should be the role of parents and the teachers? Once again, what I think, they play a very important role. Their role is, rather, I must say, the most important role. First of all, the first institution of a child is their home, his home or her home. Parents are the first teacher of a child. So the initial training of a child starts or begins from the home. That is why it's necessary for the parents. They must love, and every parents love their wards, whether they are 2, 1, 5, whatsoever may be the number. But this really doesn't mean that their child is the only child that needs special treatment. If a child is being treated especially with special care, so definitely the results will be very, very, very dangerous and injurious. It will be harmful for the others. The problem will be that this child will not be able, either he or she will not be able to adjust, will not be able to be adjusted in any startup or in any stage or in any department of life, because they know very well their parents treated them just like an angel and just like, a king. But everywhere, the son or the daughter cannot be treated like a king or a queen. So that's why the parents must treat their son or daughter in a very balanced way. They must provide their son and daughters everything, but it really doesn't mean that they cross all the limits. There are some stages where, you know, harshness is really necessary, strictness is really necessary, and there are some cases where leniency is quite important, where one must have, very calm attitude, but balanced attitude is required at every stage of life. Whereas the teachers are concerned, what I believe, most of the student or most of the sons or the daughters are destroyed just because of the teachers. Teacher has got, as everybody knows, that this is teaching is not only a profession. This is, I must say, a very sublime profession. This is a very, very noble profession. Why? Through education, through knowledge, we are able to recognize Allah Almighty. So this is not only the role of a teacher just to produce a position holder. No, the role of a teacher should be just to create a good human being, a good citizen. But what I feel in the class, some of the teachers, they have got, a monotonous attitude. They have got one-way traffic. They just know one thing, and that is strictness. They know one way, and through that monotonous routine and attitude, they try to teach every student, which is not appropriate. What I believe, if we have a class of 50 to 30 to 70 to 80 students, in that class there are different sort of students. Every student has got a different psyche, different attitude, different mentality, different approach of understanding. So that is really necessary for a teacher to understand the psyche of a student rather than losing temper, rather than adopting other way of corporal punishment, beating, abusing, using harsh language or taunting student. No. If teachers start understanding the psyche, the temperament, the approach, the senses, believe in me, it will become really easy for the teacher as well as for the student to understand, because teacher and the students, they are just like friends. So there must be some distance. Without a distance, teacher cannot move forward. If there is no distance, so definitely limits will be crossed, and the element of respect will not be there. So this is why what I think, the teachers must have, different tactics. He must be just like a physician to understand the basic problem, to understand the nature of a student. And right after understanding the nature of the student, a teacher can move forward and can deliver and can produce good citizens in the society. And there are so many teachers who are teaching students. Do not forget those teachers throughout their life. And there are some teachers, believe in me, the students definitely do not want to go into their classes. Why? If you ask the reason, they will definitely tell you he is very harsh. He adopts a very harsh language. He uses he uses physical punishment. So that's why they do not want to study. But on the other hand, some of the teachers, they do not say, they do not use such things. Their lecture, their psyche, their way of communication, their delivering power is so beautiful that they attach themselves with the students in such a way that the students definitely do not want to leave that class, and they give 100% attention to that. So that is why what I feel, the parents and the teachers, their role is really very important. And if they perform their role with utmost devotion, definitely we can have wonderful and very, very healthy citizens in the society. So thank you very much. Inshallah, see you, meet you, talk to you in the next unit with the same approach, with the same attitude. If you have any difficulty, you can text me, you can write down. Thank you very much. Stay blessed. Allah Hafiz.